just really comes to life when you think about it in the context of a real business example. It's all very well to talk about AI can do this or that, but I'm going to turn the tables on you a little bit now. And I know you've been working on, a really good example of an intelligent agent in action with one of our clients. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so bring it into life, like you say. So large, critical national infrastructure organization, I guess like many industrial utilitarian sort of organizations, thousands upon thousands of lessons learned about how they do stuff, capital projects, etc. And they asked us to come and build initially a chatbot type capability using what Mike's just described technically to read across all of those lessons learned. So imagine basically a bunch of Word documents in SharePoint in essence, and pull all of that together using an LLM to then derive an insight out of that. And interesting, we talked before about chatbots. We utilized the chatbot interface initially to sort of test that the AI can do what AI says it can do, and gave us a reason to go, it is finding the insights, it is spotting where there's commonality, it is being able to lift out lessons learned and say, don't do this, that's a ridiculous idea. But what we've been able to now do is take that step further and embed that back into a business process. So as a project manager, if I'm about to launch a new project, it knows to call out that I'm about to make the same mistake as the 10,000 plus lessons learned documents that we just interrogated, and I can avoid that and save money, save time, save lives even. So that's a real world example of where, thousands upon thousands of lessons learned information, back to your point earlier, there's huge amounts of value captured in that. It's really hard to extrapolate because you need a person to sit and read all of that content, but also context, understanding what that means in that environment of the client, et cetera, et cetera. And so we've brought that all to life and got their data talking back to them such that they can improve a business process.
Sounds amazing. And I guess the other bit I wanted to just quickly probe around that was, I think we're even thinking about taking that a step further. Like we've built obviously some really valuable interfaces. The data could talk back and tell you. How do we take that insight proactively to people?
So I think some of it is you can create some alerts back into the business. It'll email back out to sort of the project management community, for example, to say, actually, we've now spotted that there are 500 other projects that are about to perform the same thing and create a further risk. Or you need to be aware this new risk has come about because we're constantly reading. It's not like we've done one read of the SharePoint site and never to touch it again. They are creating project documentation week after week after week. So that capability sits there on top of that content all the time, generating more output so I can feed that back out to the business in a proactive way as part of a business process. It's also, I think, helping. There's a few examples popping up where they're able to take that and improve their submission. So there is a process that they have to submit that plan to get approval to run the project. So why don't we use that to help them make sure they pass that submission in the first place, rather than take projects that are never going to pass because they're about to make the same mistake again. So there's more and more proactive sort of reaching back out, using those lessons to teach people what to avoid next time around, and that corporate memory.
Talking to agents having an impact in the real world, we have another project that we're doing where we are thinking about a similar company to that one, where they have a number of frontline operatives who have to triage alerts that come in from across their infrastructure network. And they have many alerts that come in. And one of the things that they have to do is they have to assess the level of importance that those alerts have. And they do that using a number of criteria, which are fuzzy, these criteria that they have for triaging whether or not they should take an action or whether this alert can be saved for later. And it's based on a large number of things, including documentation. There's a certain amount of corporate memory and notes that have been written down. Things like local environmental factors take place. So whether the weather is acting up or whether an event has occurred at that place recently. They have to look across the infrastructure network that they have as well and assess other alerts that have come in and the pattern of alerts that these pieces of infrastructure have had in the past. All of that is like a reasonably well-defined pattern of things that the frontline operative has to execute, but they have to execute this every single time for every single one that comes in. And this is where agents can really, really shine, because you can take the inputs, which is the alert coming in, and all of that supporting documentation, all of that environmental information, all of the surrounding pieces of information that the alert has with it. And then you have to make a judgment. And this is a prototype that we're running, where we are taking these agents and these large language models and allowing them to use their reasoning capability over all of that huge quantity of unstructured information, and then make a judgment.
Yeah.
They're doing real work.
They are doing actual work, yes.